Hey guys, welcome to Earth and Water Doula Services. My name's Savannah. I'm the doula here. A little bit background on myself in this area. Back in 2014. Yeah, 2014, pretty sure. I lost a little boy at 15 weeks gestation. That was my first experience with motherhood and pregnancy and all of that. Before then, I had zero experience. Didn't really know anybody who had ever really, of course I knew people who had been pregnant, but I was not involved in those. So when I became pregnant with my first child, which is the one I lost, I became a little obsessive with pregnancy and birth and whatnot, which I had always been interested in, but hadn't really dove into myself personally in a self-learning aspect. But I did with my first pregnancy, and then, but I have anxiety a lot more back then than I do now. But because I had anxiety, I had a need to know everything about what was happening to my body and my baby and how everything was growing and going on and what to expect and what to do, and I needed to know all of the things. So literally all I did was Google and research and read and attend webinars and summits, health summits on this subject. And when I lost my son, I went into this even deeper. Okay, I needed to know why, how, what was like, what, all of the normal things that you go through when you experience something like this. I needed to know all of the information, even more so at this point. So when I lost my son, I was in the hospital for 3 days, and I experienced a lot of stuff in that time. Okay, it was my first experience with the birthing system and the obstetrics, and I was younger then and naive and didn't know any better, and I experienced a lot of, what's the word? I don't want to say trauma or, I don't know, nurses were mean to me in this setting. I was going through the worst thing of my life, the worst experience of my life, losing my child, being admitted into the hospital to be induced, having an epidural, all of these things that, I felt like my life was over. And yet here were nurses being mean to me in the setting. And, I'm just, giving you a little bit of background. I'm not saying one thing or another about it. But anyway, I'm going to move on. So then we kept trying, and I became pregnant with my son. And once again, I entered a state of I need to know everything. So I kept researching the whole time I was pregnant with him, and ended up having a beautiful, healthy boy at the end of all of this. This is my cat. Her name is Kat. And even though I had a perfectly healthy son, and I was perfectly healthy, and everything had gone perfectly normal, I was disappointed in my birth. And I don't know, I felt like something was missing, like, what could I possibly have to complain about? Everything went completely smoothly, stereotypically average for your standard hospital birth, right? And yet, it wasn't transformative like I had expected. It wasn't the sacred spiritual experience I had expected. It wasn't life-changing even. It was anticlimactic. It was a slow build-up to a awkward standard hospital birth to because I had an epidural during my son's birth, so I didn't feel the pains of birth really. And because of this, I was able to notice everything around me, and it was just kind of weird, right? Like my husband was making jokes and talking sports to the doctor while I was pushing, okay? And then when my son was born, it was like, oh, okay, now I have, okay, yeah, sure. And I was just disappointed. I was disappointed in the whole thing. I felt very alone during the whole process, even though my husband's very supportive and my family's very supportive-ish, and I had, you know, all these caregivers. I still felt alone, and I felt like it was disappointing, you know, but I didn't have the right to be disappointed because, hey, I had a healthy baby and I was healthy and everything went great, so, you know. But move forward a little while, and I got pregnant with my daughter, and I knew that this was going to be my last baby. Okay, I knew that this was all I wanted was two, and I knew that this was my last chance to get it right, quote unquote, get it right. You know, get the birth that I wanted, get the fulfillment of this experience that I wanted, and the transformational, spiritual, sacred journey into motherhood that I knew was possible, that I had read was possible, and that was supported, and just all of these things, right? Like, I had this vision of a birth that I wanted, and this was my last chance to make it happen. So, still researching every day, all the time, about all of these things, and free birth, and how our OB system is so outdated, and obstetric violence is such a real thing, let me tell you. And I don't want to steer anybody away from, I don't want to scare anybody, or, you know, I'm factual, and I have seen things, and I have heard things, and I have read things about the realness of this birthing world that most of us shy away from, or most people shy away from, because even though birth is sacred and beautiful, it's also scary and messy. And people tend to shy away from scary and messy. They don't want the details. They don't want to see. They don't want to know. They just want to, you know, like, put me on the conveyor belt and tell me what to do, keep me safe, and I trust you, right? And but the more you know, the more you know. And so I encountered a lot of friction trying to get the birth that I wanted, because of where I live and because of our outdated system. And for example, when I was pregnant with all of my children, midwives were illegal where I live, okay? Which is insane. But they're legal now, but I don't know if they've quite started, at this point in time when this video is being made, practicing yet here, because of, like, legalities and paperwork and stuff, like formalities. But so between midwives being illegal and a lot of standard practices in the OB system are not evidence-based and not up-to-date and not beneficial as the doctors seem to believe that they are. And I mean, it's a rabbit hole. It is a rabbit hole. So I hired a doula this go around because I needed her help to make this birth, this ideal birth dream, a reality that I had. And it was life-changing, okay? She was wonderful. She calmed all of my anxieties, and I had a lot. And she helped me navigate the birth OB system to the best of her abilities that we could, to get the birth that I wanted. And y'all, we succeeded with a unmedicated, hospital birth. It was intervention free, and it was just beautiful. Okay, it was beautiful, and it was the birth of my dreams. And I dream about it still all the time. Like, oh, that was so wonderful. I mean, birth is hard and birth hurts in a lot of cases. Not all cases, but because I've always been so slightly obsessed with this subject. I've had several people since I hired my doula, including my husband, insist that I need to be a doula, and I was always like, nah, I'm okay. But I decided to take the certification course, and here I am now, a doula, and I would love to help you on your journey and get your birth of your dreams, no matter what that looks like for you, because I believe that you should have the birth that you want, no matter what that looks like. And I'm here to help you make it happen and help you navigate this OB system and the world of pregnancy and birth, and bringing this new little beautiful life into the world for you, and on an emotional level and a physical level and all sorts of things. So if this is interesting to you and it sounds like a doula is something that you want, look on below in the page for contact information and message me, and we'll set up a time to meet. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have. See ya.